In today's lecture, we are going to discuss the concepts known as decree, order, and judgment in Civil Procedure Code. These are very basic concepts in the subject of CPC, and they are also crucial in the actual court practice on civil side. Now, firstly, let us come to the term decree. The judicial determination made by the court, it is sometimes in the form of a decree and sometimes it is in the form of an order. A judicial determination, in order to be called a decree, it must fulfill certain essential conditions which are prescribed in Section 2, Clause 2 of Civil Procedure Code. The court has to abide by the essential conditions which are laid down in the section, and the court has no power to extend the meaning of the term decree so as to include even the orders in that definition, because it will be like stepping into the shoes of the legislature, which is not the function of the judiciary. Now, Section 2, Clause 2, it says that decree means the formal expression of an adjudication which, so far as the court expressing it, conclusively determines the rights of the parties with regard to all or any of the matters in controversy in the suit, and may be either preliminary or final. It is deemed to include rejection of plaint and determination of any question under Section 144, but it does not include any adjudication from which an appeal lies, as an appeal from an order or any order of dismissal for default. So it is a very broad definition and very comprehensive definition given in Section 2, Clause 2 of the term decree. It not only tells us what is meant by decree, but it also tells us what are the two types of decree, then what is meant by deemed decree, and what is not included in the definition of decree. So all these points are explained in the definition, and that's why this definition is very comprehensive definition. Now, from the definition, it transpires that there are certain essential conditions of a decree, and these essential conditions of decree include adjudication. That adjudication must be made in a suit. Then there should be determination of rights. This determination must be of conclusive nature, and it is always a kind of formal expression. So all these are the essential conditions of decree. Now let us discuss these essential conditions one by one. First essential condition we will discuss is known as adjudication. Judicial determination of the matter in dispute is known as an adjudication. It means that if there is no adjudication, there can be no decree, because adjudication is an important condition of a decree, and therefore without adjudication decree can never be there. Thus, if suit is dismissed for default in appearance of a party, it cannot be called as an adjudication. Further, the adjudication which is made must be by a court. If the deciding authority is not a court, then the question of passing a decree does not arise. Therefore, in the case of Deepchand versus Land Acquisition Officer, All India Reporter 1994, Supreme Court, page number 1901, it was held that an order passed by Land Acquisition Officer is not a decree, because the Land Acquisition Officer is not a court and a decree can be passed only by the court. Then the second essential condition of a decree is that it must be passed in the course of a suit. The word suit is, however, not defined anywhere in CPC. But in Hansraj Gupta versus Official Liquidator of the Dehradun Mussoorie Electric Tramways Company Limited, All India Reporter 1933, Privy Council, page number 63, it was observed that the word suit generally means a civil proceeding instituted by the presentation of a plaint. Therefore, the civil proceeding does not start by presentation of a plaint, then there can be no decree as such. Even a decree of a tribunal under a statute is not a decree for the purposes of Section 2, Clause 2, although it may be a statutory decree under that particular statute. Then there should be determination of rights. Unless and until there is determination of rights between plaintiff and defendant in the suit, there can be no decree as such. For a decision to be called as a decree, it is necessary that there should be determination of substantive rights along with procedural rights by the court. It may cover any question relating to character or status of the parties, jurisdiction of the court, maintainability of the suit, etc. then the determination must be of conclusive nature. In order to be called as a decree, it is necessary that the judicial determination is of conclusive nature. It means that if the judicial determination is not conclusive in nature, then there can be no decree as such. For example, an interlocutory order such as appointment of court commissioner, which does not decide the rights of the parties finally, cannot be called as a decree because there is no conclusive determination of rights of the parties involved in that suit. Then one more essential condition is known as formal expression, because decree is always a formal expression of an adjudication. Now what is meant by the term formal expression is that it is acceptance or rejection of any of the reliefs claimed in the plaint and embodied in a formal declaration. So if certain reliefs are granted by the court and certain reliefs are refused by the court, then it will be embodied in that formal declaration. Then it will be called as a decree. But all the formal expressions will not be called a decree if the other conditions of decree are not satisfied. So it is important that apart from being a formal expression, the other essential conditions should also be satisfied. Then only it can be called as a decree. Now then let us turn to some illustrations of decree. There are numerous illustrations, but some of them we are discussing. The first is known as a compromise or consent decree. So when the compromise decree is passed by the court or a consent decree is drawn up by the court, then that is known as a decree. Then order dissolving partnership, order of abatement of suit is also called as a decree. Now abatement means if the legal heir of a particular party is not brought on record within a period of 90 days, then that suit gets abated or it gets terminated, and that order of abatement of suit is known as a decree. Then order rejecting plaint in preemption suit is also known as a decree. Then dismissal of suit for lack of evidence or dismissal of appeal for lack of evidence. Then modification of a scheme under section 92 of CPC and order under section 25 of Hindu Marriage Act. Further, an award of a court under section 28 of Land Acquisition Act 1894 and also an award under section 36 of Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996, all are the illustrations of a decree. So in all these 9 cases, the order which is made will be called as a decree. Now then let us come to illustrations of orders which are not decree. So now the orders which we are discussing, they are not considered as decree. The first is appeal dismiss for default. Second, order permitting withdrawal of suit. So if some party has been allowed to withdraw the suit, then that order cannot be called as a decree because it is the order of withdrawing the suit. Then order on res judicata and limitation is not considered as a decree. Further, order directing decree to be drawn up, rejection of appeal for insufficient court fee, an award under Motor Vehicles Act made by Motor Accident Claim Tribunal is also not a decree. Then dismissal of application under Order 34 Rule 8 of CPC, appointment of commissioner to take accounts, and order refusing to wind up a company. These are not considered as decrees. They are merely orders. Now then let us turn to types of decree. Number of types are there, such as preliminary decree, final decree, partly preliminary and partly final decree, consent decree, compromise decree, contest decree, deemed decree, and ex parte decree. So total 8 types of decree are there. Now firstly let us see preliminary decree. What is meant by preliminary decree? A decree which does not dispose of the suit completely is known as a preliminary decree. In Shankar versus Chandrakant, All India Reporter 1995, Supreme Court, page number 1211, it was stated that a decree which declares the rights and liabilities of the parties, leaving the actual result to be worked out in further proceedings, is called as a preliminary decree, because the court has merely declared the rights and liabilities of the parties, but the actual result is not still worked out, and it will be worked out in the next proceeding, that is the proceeding like execution proceeding or what is known as a darkhast. And that's why this decree will be only a preliminary decree and not a final decree. In Fulchan versus Gopal Lal, All India Reporter 1967, Supreme Court, page number 1470, the Supreme Court observed that in a suit more than one preliminary decree may be passed if circumstances justify passing of such decrees. So it is not that always there will be only one preliminary decree in the suit. If the circumstances demand, then the court may pass more than one preliminary decree also in a single suit. And that was decided in the case of Fulchand versus Gopal Lal, and this controversy was set at rest because the conflicting judgments were there whether one preliminary decree can be there or more than one preliminary decree can also be there. But finally this controversy has been set at rest in the landmark judgment of Supreme Court of 1967, Fulchand versus Gopal Lal. Now then let us come to final decree. A decree which completely disposes of the suit is known as a final decree, and after passing the final decree, nothing actually remains to be done in that suit. In Shankar versus Chandrakant, All India Reporter 1995, Supreme Court 1211, it was clarified that in a suit, more than one final decree may be passed if circumstances justify the same. So that is the meaning of final decree. Then sometimes the decree may be partly preliminary and partly final decree. For example, in the suit for possession and means profit, the decree of possession in favor of plaintiff is a final decree, while decree for initiating an inquiry into the means profit is only a preliminary decree. So it is a mixture of preliminary and final decree, and that's why it is partly preliminary and partly final decree. Now sometimes there can be a deemed decree. The definition of decree also refers to what is known as a deemed decree. Now, deemed decree means actually it is not a decree, but the law presumes it to be a decree by creating a legal fiction. For example, rejection of a plaint and determination of any question under section 144 of CPC relating to restitution is known as a deemed decree. So both these, that is rejection of a plaint and determination of question relating to restitution under section 144 of CPC, both are called as deemed decree. So a legal fiction is created, although these are not the decrees, but they are presumed to be the decrees under the Civil Procedure Code. Then there can be consent decree, contest decree, and compromise decree. A decree which is drawn up with consent of the parties involved in the suit is known as a consent decree. A decree which is passed by the court after the suit is contested or fought out by the rival parties, plaintiff and defendant, then that decree is called as a contest decree. While a decree which is passed as a result of the compromise made between the parties, it's called as a compromise decree. So there can be consent decree, there can be contest decree, and there can be compromise decree. Then one more type of decree can be there, that is ex parte decree. An ex parte decree is passed if the defendant does not appear before the court. Order 9 Rule 13 provides that an ex parte decree can be set aside only on two grounds: that the summons is not duly served upon the defendant and the defendant was prevented by any sufficient cause from appearing before the court. In the case of Mahesh Yadav versus Rajeshwar Singh, 2009, Volume 2 Supreme Court Cases, page number 205, it was held that an order setting aside an ex parte decree is a judicial order and hence it must be supported by reasons. So such order by which the ex parte decree has been set aside, it must contain some kind of reasoning, because it is a judicial order, and that's why there must be reasons which should be given along with the setting aside of that ex parte decree. So this is about the types of decree. Now let us come to the expression order. According to section 2 clause 13 of CPC, an order means the formal expression of any decision of a civil court which is not a decree. So any formal expression of the court which is not a decree is called as an order. An order of the court is a judicial order, and hence it must contain the discussion on question at issue and reasons therefore. So whatever reasons are there due to which the order was passed in a particular way, those reasons must be disclosed, because it is a judicial type of order, and that's why such reasons shall be disclosed. An order is different from a decree, and there are a number of points of distinction. The first point of distinction is that a decree can be passed only in a suit, while an order can be made on an application or even petition. Then a decree conclusively determines the rights between the parties, while an order may not conclusively determine the rights between the parties. The third point distinction is that a decree may be preliminary or final, while an order is never preliminary. Then one more point of distinction is that generally in a suit there can be only one decree, but in a suit there are number of orders. Then every decree is appealable, but only specified orders under CPC are made appealable. So appeal is not allowed from each and every order, and only from certain orders which are specified under Civil Procedure Code itself, the provision of appeal is there. But in case of each and every decree, the appeal is available. Then the last point of distinction between decree and order is that there may be first and second appeal against a decree, but there is only first appeal against an order. So this is also an important point of distinction between a decree and an order. Then let us turn to one more expression, judgment. According to section 2 clause 9 of Civil Procedure Code, judgment means the statement given by the judge of the grounds of a decree or order. Every judgment other than that of a small causes court shall contain the following aspects: a concise statement of the case, points of determination, the decision on those points of determination, and the reasons for such decision. In Balraj Taneja versus Sunil Madan, AIR 1999 Supreme Court, page number 3381, it was held that a judgment cannot merely say suit decreed or suit dismissed. The whole process of reasoning should be set out in the judgment. So judgment is much more wider, and that's why it should contain a concise statement of the case, points of determination, decision on those points of determination, and the reasons for such decision. But these contents will not be there when the judgment is given by the small causes court. Generally only point number 2 and 3 will be there, that is points of determination and decision thereon will be there if the particular suit has been decided and the judgment is given by the judge of the small causes court. Then let us come to distinction between decree and judgment. In decree, the judge need not give grounds of decree, but in judgment, the judge must give a statement on the grounds of a decree or order. And second point of distinction is that a judgment contemplates a stage prior to the passing of a decree or order, and after the pronouncement of judgment, a decree shall follow. Now for further reading, you can go through the literature which I have mentioned in this slide. So with that, we come to the end of this particular lecture.